Hey scholars, happy Friday. Um, we're down to our last day of this first week that you guys have been doing some distance learning. I know from the flip grid that Mr. Ortiz shared this morning, some of you are coming across some challenges. It's very different learning on your own as opposed to in a classroom with your friends and your peers and your teachers. So we're going to keep all of that in mind and try and make this learning as smooth as possible for all of us. So today's video is going to be extra help in explaining today's assignment. So if the instructions are unclear, I hope that by explaining this a little bit more in depth, you guys will be able to work on this on your own. And as always, if you have questions, if questions come up as you're working on your packet for today, leave the comments that you've been leaving for clarification. Those are great, and everyone can read them, so you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping your peers. Okay, so let's get into today's explanation for Friday's homework and expectations. I called it homework, but it's not homework, it's classwork. All right, so I'm going to switch my screen over to our Google Classroom. I've numbered them this time, so we have 1, 2, and 3. So the first thing you have to do for today's assignment is read pages 88 through 92 of Off and Running. Second thing, as you're reading, you're going to complete a Venn diagram to compare and contrast the audience's reaction to Maeda and Rudy's speeches. And the third thing you have to get done is use your completed Venn diagram to write a compare and contrast summary about the audience's reactions. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is always, if there's a question that you are supposed to answer, you want to make sure that you read the question so that when you move on to your reading, you read with a purpose. So our purpose for reading today is to explain how is the audience's reaction to Rudy similar as well as different from its reaction to Maeda. Use details from the text to support your answer. So I know we're comparing and contrasting today, and I know that you will be completing a Venn diagram. So what I did on my Venn diagram was I wrote my essential question up here at the top, so that way I don't forget what details I'm looking for. So I'm looking for the audience's reaction to Rudy's speech and the audience's reaction to Maeda's speech. So those are the two things that I'm looking for. So I also set up my Venn diagram here to say the audience's reaction to Maeda, and then on the other side is what was the audience's reaction to Rudy. Okay, so that's what I did so that I could read with a purpose and put in all the details that are going to help me with my summary. Okay, so if you haven't done that already, I think you should pause the video and write your essential question at the top and set up your Venn diagram. We're trying to tell how they're similar and how the audience reacts in a similar way and how they react in a different way. Okay. So then your next step is to use that Venn diagram to come up with a summary. So in your packet, I have a couple of sentence frames here, but there's also an example on the Google Classroom. I titled this page Compare and Contrast Summary. That way I know to keep it all together. And I'm going to use this page here if I'm working out of my packet to write my summary. Or if you're doing it electronically on the Google Classroom, you will open up a document and make sure to share it with me and Ms. Richardson when you guys finish it today, because that's your third part of this assignment. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to do before I let you guys work on it independently is I'm going to go over this compare and contrast example. Okay, so Ms. Richardson put together a summary of what your an example of what your summary should look like. So let me go through it. On the side here, you'll notice that if you click on these highlighted sentences, each one has a different job in the sentence. Okay, so this is our introduction sentence. In the story, Off and Running, both characters have to give speeches in order to win over the 5th grade class. Now I'm going to click on our next sentence, and this is a presentation to the reader that you're about to compare and contrast. So it says, when Maeda and Rudy give their speeches, the audience reacts in ways that are similar and in ways that are different. So you'll notice that that's very closely related to our essential question, okay, which is what we were trying to answer as we read through the story. This next sentence is a comparison sentence that includes evidence from the text. So when you're comparing, you're telling how things are the same. Okay, so here's my key word here, both. As both candidates are giving their speeches, the audience calls out to each of them and asks questions. So that's true. For example, the audience members shout out, "Are we going to get paid?" And "How about an hour of recess?" Now, our next sentence is our contrasting sentence. So this is telling us how the audience reaction was different. However, it is clear that Maeda did not appeal to the audience as much. For example, there was limited applause, and the audience even scrunched up their faces when Maeda was at the podium. On the other hand, so this is, remember, it's comparing, when Rudy gave his speech, the crowd laughed at his jokes and roared when he presented his ideas. And then we're ending with the conclusion sentence, which kind of wraps it all up and tells us our purpose for writing. Based on the evidence, the audience seems to favor Rudy's speech more. Okay, so I hope that brief explanation is helpful to you. You have 3 things to do. You're going to read pages 88 through 92. You're going to complete your Venn diagram, and then you're going to use your Venn diagram to write your summary. Okay? I'm also going to put another video of me just reading the story, so if you would like to be read to, or if you want to just go ahead and read it through on your own, go ahead and do that as well. But I am going to put a video in the Google Classroom of a read aloud. Okay. Good luck, you guys. Once you get this assignment done, you'll get to enjoy your weekend, and then we'll start back up on Monday. We miss you, and keep getting onto Google Classroom and leave comments, especially on those flip grids. It's nice to see your faces. Okay. Have a good day.